not enough people ask why.
Mm-hmm. Get curious. Big C, and the C is for curious.
Because it's easier to make up the story in our mind and run with that than it is to go to the source and be like, hey, what were you thinking? What was going on that made that helped you that influenced your decision in this particular case? Walk me through. Make it make sense for me.
Also, what you just said, making up stories in our mind. Brene Brown has this thing where she encourages couples to say, like, the story I'm telling myself is.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast, brought to you by moi, Brandan, and my lovely, lovely partner, Ciandra. Now, since it's been some new faces in the followers list, we, one of our clips kind of went a little crazy on IG. I don't know if y'all caught it or not, but it's going a little crazy. It's bringing them some new people. So, allow us to reintroduce ourselves.
My name is Hope.
My name is Brandan.
A to the O-V.
Hold up, damn, did we move the music back?
Go shots. Yeah.
You don't mess it up. All right, there we go. Like I said, Brandan. And I am joined. What's your name again? What? Let them know. They gotta hear your voice.
Ciandra. Gunshot myself. Yeah.
And this is the Buffet Podcast, episode 96. Go ahead.
Woo! Hit the yay. The Buffet Podcast, episode 96, is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah, we actually had a live audience today. You can't see it, but she's
here. All right, we started this podcast to review the questions we've asked and continue to ask each other since we started dating. Our conversations will range from lighthearted and comical to serious and deep. We both have backgrounds in counseling, and we are young Black professionals based out of Houston. So if you're in these Houston streets and you see us, say hi. We will say hi back. Mm-hmm. We are not scary. Mm-hmm. We know just enough to come up with the questions, but not enough to have all the answers. So you can expect for us to be real, raw, and sometimes spicy. Muy caliente. Escándalo.
Just like the weather here in Houston is hot. It's hot. It's very, very hot.
It's very pleasant today. I know you haven't been outside, but like...
No, I was outside. I went out there. I was on the balcony.
And was it pleasant?
No. Okay. It was okay until I started sweating.
Sweating is a part of life. And it's good for you. For your pores. Keeps you youthful.
Right. All that good stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. So, like I said before, welcome new people. And welcome back to the folks who's been here since day one. Mm-hmm. We know who you are. It's not that many of you. And we got one over
Shout out to our day ones.
Yeah.
You ready for the amuse bouche?
We'll get right into it, y'all.
Relationship where I'm very much like the opposite of my partner, and I'm wondering, how do our brains hold paradox when two things can be true simultaneously, which is such a through line of your work?
Best way to hold opposites is to actually never believe that you are right. That in itself, a lot of the questions that we were asking, right? Should we leave? Should we stay? Should we have another kid? Should we unplug? These dilemmas, what I mean by this, it's about holding the polarity. What it means is, so often in a couple, one person says, we should go, or we should have another kid, for example. Let's just use that one. Is that a good example? We should have another kid. We should move, we should go, whatever we should. And the other one says, no, we shouldn't. And they position themselves as if the one who says yay only thinks of yay, and the one who says nay, or says the other position, only inhabits the other side. If you were alone, you would have to hold both sides inside of you. A part of me feels this way, and a part of me feels that way. In a relationship, it becomes, I feel this way, you feel that way. We outsource to the partner the part of our dilemma that we don't like to hold. And that's polarization. So with you, one of the best ways to hold is to actually take the position of the other person. You start talking about the aspects of the equation that the other one has been voicing. And then you will see how the extremities soften.
I'm in a relationship where I'm very...
Shout out to Esther Perel. If you're not familiar with her work,
I'm not.
You should get familiar. She an OG in the relationship space. Esther, the Gottmans, top of the line.
Gottman. I'm familiar with Gottman.
I know you are.
Okay. Interesting clip.
So what are your thoughts? Immediate reactions?
What got me was when you were alone, you play out both sides of that conversation like on your own, but suddenly when you with a partner, that doesn't seem to happen as much as
you the op.
That could be true.
Oppy outside.
That can be true. I hope it's not true, but it can be true. And it probably will be true at some point.
Exactly.
But I hope it doesn't happen frequently or often or something, whatever. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to what she says, and I'm still, kind of digesting it. I guess one of the main question that jumps out at me, I guess I'm missing the context of the question. Like, why? What's the? I guess maybe because she just asked a question, so I was like, why? What is that question? How does that question relate to what's going on in your life or something that's like a problem?
The first thing that she said that wasn't played out loud is that she feels like her and her partner are opposites. And so in being opposites, they typically have different preferences. I want this, you want the opposite of what I want. And you know what? It makes me think of that question that we saw online. It must have been a couple of weeks ago of like, would you rather be with a married man who tells you yes 100% of the time, or be with your own man who tells you no 45% of the time? And how all of the women in the video were like, oh, I want the married man. I don't want anybody who's going to tell me no.
Why would you tell me no?
Why would you tell me no?
I'm sorry. Yeah. And then somebody sung a song about being the side chick, but it was one lady who said
there was one woman who was like, yeah, because I need to be told no sometimes. Not every idea that I have or not everything that I desire is right for me. Is going to be the thing that ultimately leads to my happiness. Maybe it's not the best decision, and maybe it's not a no. Maybe it's more like not right now. Like it doesn't make sense for us to do this right now. But if this is a true desire of your heart, I'm going to work with you to make sure that we get this thing that you do desire. Yeah.
You spitting. I just let you go, let you flow.
I appreciate that. But I think that's what's happening here is like, if we are opposites, if I say yes and you say no, or like I say we should and you say we shouldn't, there is this feeling that the tension that I should be holding of like, should we or shouldn't we, is now outsourced onto you. And I'm looking at you as the reason why I can't do something, instead of thinking about like, one, a logical approach, right? Like, why doesn't this make sense for us right now? Why might he be saying no? What is it that he would prefer to have happen or prefer for us to experience? If we say yes to this, what are we ultimately saying no to? Like all of those things that like play into making a decision, instead of like having to weigh those things internally and make a decision for myself. If I say yes and you say no, it's just like, well, he's in opposition to what it is that I want to do. And I can focus my time, energy, and effort on trying to convince you. And in some regards, probably trying to convince myself. We say all these things that we want that we don't really want them things. Or the way in which we want to receive them, maybe we're not willing to do the work or put in the effort to actually get it. Like, I want $1 million. I don't want to work like anybody who has like worked hard for their $1 million. There are people who be like, oh, I sacrificed time with my family and I didn't get to go on these trips or do those things. Sounds like something I don't want to do. I'll stay at this regular middle class lifestyle. I'll take that for 1,000, Alex.
I mean, all right. I have some thoughts. I've been writing some down. I want to let you cook. The whole polarity, like, because I want this and then my partner doesn't want this, means that nothing can happen. I think that's the kind of the thought process of it. So it automatically kind of puts you in that zero sum like game where like only one can win. If I win, that means you must lose, and it kind of eliminates the potential nuance of, like you said, the conversation where like, well, I want this thing, you want this other thing. I'm sure there's room for both of us to be able to get what we want or what have you. And then I was thinking about another thought, which I think she kind of touched on, where the the opposition, the argument or the opposition is delegated to your partner. Because I feel like sometimes, like when you're alone, you got to go through the pros and cons, the yes or no within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes when you talk yourself out of doing something, even though you really wanted to do it, but you recognize that I really shouldn't be doing this right now, you still kind of feel a little bit guilty. Like, damn, I really wanted to do this thing. And then you feel bad about it. And you feel bad. You maybe feel bad to yourself.
Yeah.
But now you got a partner, and now your partner can be the person who's telling you no. And then so suddenly it's not on you. I'm not stopping me from doing this thing. It's suddenly my partner who's stopping me from doing this thing. And not he the op or she the op. So I feel like it's a way to kind of sidestep like accountability a little bit by putting like I want to do all of these things. And the only reason I'm not doing it is not because I recognize that I shouldn't do it or I can't do it, whatever. It's because my partner said I can't, I shouldn't or we can't, and it stops you from like maybe going inside and figuring out like why I shouldn't, or why it doesn't make sense to do this right now.
It made me think, as you were talking, it made me think about me wanting to go out or to be social and being like, oh, Brandan doesn't want to go, so we're not going out because Brandan like to be in the house, and that's
homebody.
Yeah, but that's me putting the ownership on you for like, or putting the responsibility on you for why we do or don't do something, as opposed to taking accountability for the problem, taking ownership of finding a solution, and being like, okay, like maybe we aren't going to go out, but I would still like to go out, so I'm going to go out. Or maybe we don't want to have the great responsibility of moving, but maybe we can go on vacation to this place. Maybe we can take an extended trip there. Like, what are the other options that would allow for me to get some of what I want, as opposed to being like, it's a complete no, I lost.
Right.
And I lost because of you. Yeah.
And also let us be clear. I'm a homebody, but I will go out. I don't want people out here thinking that, I'm just keeping you, shackled to the house. I be going out sometimes, but she like going out. She like doing social things more because she feel like because we were in the house a lot because we work from home. But she wants to go. She wants to go out.
We are in the house all the time, and you can literally be in the house all day, every day.
And I'm okay with that. No, so that being said, I will say I did feel a lot of like the blame, like kind of subconscious blame you had on me, and as you know, that's a kind of a trigger for me.
I know it is.
Because that's how I saw my mama do my daddy all
well,
the time.
I wasn't gonna put your parents out.
I'm putting them on blast. Okay. I hope they listen to this too, mama.
Wow,
you do daddy like that all the time. Stop playing.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's like I saw that growing up a lot. Like, oh, I want to do all these awesome things, but because your dad, we can't do. I'm like, you don't need him to go hang out with your friends. Nah, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. And I'm like, so you really ain't trying to do it. You just don't want to say that you don't want to do it. It's easier for you to put that on somebody else.
Or maybe it is like, I want to do it, but the expectation that I had in my mind is that I was going to do it with my partner. Because I think that was the biggest thing for me, is like, oh my goodness, when I get a man, all these things that I've been doing by myself, I'm never going to do them alone again. Because my man's going to be right there having a grand old time. He's going to enjoy everything.
That's it. And I think that might be a difference in, I hate to bring the man-female aspect of it, but I do kind of think it's true. Because in hearing you speak about it with such vigor, such excitement, and I think that men look at that as kind of like we're gonna do everything together. Like, oh my god, like she's gonna want to do all this stuff, and we got to do all these things together. Like, oh my god, I hope the things that she wants to do are things that I actually want to do too. I know a good majority of it it's like I'm gonna be there begrudgingly.
That's not true for you.
Are you asking? Or are you telling me?
Blink twice.
But I will say, to throw you some bail, generally, is things that we both enjoy. Yeah, we chill. But I'm just trying.
Listen, that last clip had me looking crazy. I'm trying to make sure I don't go down like that again.
But you don't think you might not look crazy if this get clipped up right now? How you looking at me like, oh, that don't happen to you, right? Yeah.
I can't see my own face. That you blink more.
Help.
Why you play so much?
But no, keep it like For real, like Ciandra's pretty cool people. I caught myself a really good one. So generally, like 8 times out of 10, like we do things that you both enjoy, and you know, and that's cool. So on my end, from the guy's part, I kind of came in kind of, what do you call it when you just like you don't like it, but you know it's gonna happen, so you just like, okay, I'm just gotta get this over with. What do you call that? What do you call it when that happens?
I don't know what you mean. You don't like it, but you accepted it.
Yeah, there we go. I came in kind of like accepting that this may be a reality, but it, you know, that didn't happen. And I'm not going to say that that's what most men experience, even though that's what I said earlier. But I feel like that's true. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying I feel like most guys have like that feeling before they actually get into the relationship and before like reality like happens. I'm saying like too much.
Like so like that. Okay. So
I'll say all that to say, I think that is an interesting take. That I'm not sure. Is that a general woman's thing? Like they have that expectation that I'm going to be able to do. I'm never going to do these things alone again. I'm going to do all these things I like to do, but with my man.
Yeah. What do I want a partner for? Companionship. Companionize me, baby.
For guys, it's like, well, I hope we can carve out some time for ourselves.
You got into a relationship hoping to have some alone time?
No, I was hoping that I'd be able to have some alone time. Like, I know we're gonna do things together, but I also hope I'll be able to do some stuff like on my own. I'd be able to retain some of the hobbies and things that I was doing before I got with you. And like obviously, if you enjoy those things, you can join it as well. But like if you don't, that doesn't mean I can't do them things anymore. Okay,
that's fair. I do think that is a common narrative that I feel like I've heard from men of like your wife wants you to be where she wants you to be when she wants you to be there. You know what I'm saying? And so you wanting to do things or like wanting to have a certain sense of independence and autonomy to like, no, like let's set a standard that I do these things with my friends, or I have this routine, this hobby that I want to be able to like maintain on a regular cadence. And I would like to be able to do that alone. And I don't want you to have the expectation that like in me doing this thing alone or with my friends, I'm somehow neglecting you.
Right. And another point is, that not only do I want the independence to be able to do those things, I want to be able to do those things when I want to do them. Because a lot of times, I'm not gonna say a lot, but sometimes it can be you can do what you want as long as it doesn't interfere with the plans I got for us. So you can talk to your friends, you can hang out with your friends, you can play your game as long as it's not between anything I got planned for us already. So it's always.
But how far in advance do I need to communicate that I already have these things planned?
That's up to the couple for them to figure it out. But I understand like the thought process is it could be we ain't got shit going on, and I boot up the PlayStation, I get on with the boy, and then it's a problem because like I wanted this time to be available.
In my mind, it was our quality time. Okay, that's valid. I don't feel that way, but I do feel like communication is important. So. For both sides. So if I expected that to be our quality time, I should have said like, oh, babe, I'm looking forward to spending some time with you tonight. And
I would have to communicate to you like, hey, on, I don't know, Thursdays between this time and this time, I'm going to be doing these things. Is there anything pressing that's going to be happening during that time that can't be moved because this is really important to me? Or whatever. Something like that.
Okay. I agree with that.
All right, cool.
Ain't no beef.
I feel like it was I feel like I was this close to like being in trouble for some reason. I just felt like
First of all, you've never even gotten in trouble. Who can get? You're grown. What can I do to you?
That's true. Leave, I guess, but
yeah, that's a whole different world of trouble.
Yeah, that's big joke.
That's not the kind of trouble you want to get into, and that's not the trouble I would threaten lightly. Nothing.
That's true.
Well, let me not say nothing. There's something you can say on this podcast, I'm sure, that would make me be like, oh, okay. Knock the camera down and walk the fuck out of here. But I know that you know better than to do that.
Mommy ain't raised no fool.
So
she would proudly exclaim,
"Oh, your mom?
She take all the credit from me.
She do.
All right, man.
She do. I raised a good one, Ciandra. You happy?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. Yes.
like, give me accolades for how my son treats you. I did that.
I did the best I
did
could.
that. It's all
you
me.
Happy? You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, I do. Yeah, it's great. All right. Okay, I do have a main course for us today. Hit that transition.
Yeah, no, that's a lot.
I know. I feel like the clips been keeping us active. Fade. So I wanted to talk about how to manage expectations in a relationship.
Okay.
And I thought
it was another clip.
No, it's not a clip. I have an article from Tony Robbins, which he's a life coach. Yeah. I'm sure y'all have heard of him.
Very popular.
He is very popular, and also surprisingly has like content about everything, like relationship content, fitness content, like
yeah.
Strange.
You gotta stay relevant,
I guess. And so the first thing that he starts off talking about is the difference between standards and expectations in a relationship. What do you feel like the difference is?
I think an expectation is future based and a standard is like present based. So it's like I have an expectation that this is going to happen at this time. And then a standard is like, this is what we do. Mm-hmm. Like this, it's an established something that we've already been doing, and then we have agreed that this is how we're going to move, or this is what like I can expect to have a good meal, but I expect to have a good meal when I go to this fancy restaurant. Mm-hmm. That's an expectation, and you go there, and it could be trash, or it could be great. Mm-hmm. But then I can have a standard that, like, irregardless of the fanciness of the restaurant, I only eat good food. Does that make sense?
So
I only go to restaurants that I know are good.
Okay.
I sample 100. I sample like 100 restaurants. I know 20 of them are fire. I have a standard of excellence, so I only go to those 20 because that's my standard. Even though there may be other five star ones in that you, but I'm only going to these 20 because they meet the standard of what I have. What I have. Mm-hmm. But I think it's some overlap though.
I think so. I like that you said that expectations are future based. I do think that expectations are projections. Mm-hmm. They're like projections that we make based off of data that we currently have, our past experiences, advice and wise counsel from others. Like that's what the expectation is. It's like, let's set an expectation at this place. I think a lot of times we find ourselves in expectations around like coming of age. Like as a teenager, you can expect these things. You can expect acne. You can expect hormones.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's a projection of
that's true
of things based off of experience and data.
We expected to, when we graduated from college, to find us a good job that's going to be able to support us, and we will be able to buy a house and do all these things. And then they lied. They lied. They lied, bro.
Ghetto.
They lied.
Ghetto.
Folks lied to you.
That's a very good example of what an expectation is. Now, a standard to me, like a quality standard, a standard of living, is like almost like a benchmark of like, and a benchmark, an objective, like, okay, this is it. It has to check this thing in order for it to be good enough, for it to be quality, for me to be able to bang with it.
Yeah, stamp of approval.
For it to get that stamp of approval. So where standards set you up in a way similar to boundaries of like what I will or what I won't accept, expectations set you up for projections, for like a more emotional, kind of less logical trap, I think of, because if you don't get what you expect, you're immediately disappointed. Right. That's the thing about expectations, is like, it's almost like in the James Clear Habits book, it talks about like how we build habits based off of the reward that we get, and like that initial cue that makes you crave it. You want to do it. You know the reward, that dopamine is going to hit you on the back end. You expect it to hit you. Once it hits, it's like, oh, good, I'm going to keep this habit up. If it doesn't meet your expectations, that's when you're like, this habit isn't worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's not doing what I expected it to do. That's weird. Like, that's not what I expected. Same as, like, we were talking about Instagram earlier. You get on Instagram, you expect to laugh, to giggle, to, like, find this video that's going to light you up. It doesn't do it. You're like, this isn't what I expected. But, like, let me try to see if I can meet my expectation. Let me try to see
going,
it through.
And then 3 hours going by.
Yeah, to see if I can get this thing that I was anticipating happening. Anticipation leads to anxiety, child. That, like, ooh, I'm bracing. I'm waiting for this thing. I have this expectation. I have these great expectations. It, like, future oriented. You're right.
And having those mismatched expectations can make you miss out on a potentially good thing. You know what I'm saying? You out here you're expecting to I don't know. I'm trying to find out
find your 666 man, 6 figures.
Oh yeah. 6-inch man, and then but you find a man that's 6 inches.
6 inches.
Yeah,
is that what the last 6?
Yes.
That don't sound like it. I don't know.
I don't know.
6 figures and 6 inches.
You just not finding that out?
I'm pretty sure we talked about this before, but the 6 inches is a little off-putting for me.
What you trying to say? What you trying to tell people?
I'll just take a 6'6", man. Let's leave the last one variable.
Well, so I'm asking, are you saying that the 6 inches is too little? Like you need a little bit more than that? Or you don't care about that?
I, in general, don't care. But I don't want to block my blessings and just say 6 inches. That's not, is it a standard or an expectation?
No, that's the minimum. The 6'6" is like, this is what I need for.
So that's the standard.
Yeah, that's like a standard. That's not like, I'm asking for the 6, so like I'm only gonna get the 6.
There's more than enough. This is an abundant world, and I don't.
Okay, so pretty much, so the 666 saying if a 6 foot tall man, a man with 6 figures, but he come through with a 5.5, he cut date. That's not.
I'm not measuring.
That's not gonna work out. That's not it. That doesn't meet. That's not a 666 man. That's a 6'6", 5.5 man, and he is not qualified.
Yeah, he doesn't meet the standard.
Yeah, that's it.
But how are you? We gonna pull out a ruler, measure it. It's the motion of the ocean. You know.
I don't know. I feel like women got like an eyeball for it. Like I feel like women can like eyeball it and be like, that's respectable.
I did hang out with a girl recently who was like, "Yeah, I wish his dick was just a little bit bigger," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, women have an eye for that type of thing. It's like men got that. You know, I can't tell you exactly what bra size you wear, but I could tell it. Looks like a D to me. Just like
it's just that eyeball thing again.
Right. And in the height thing, it says 6 feet, but generally women don't know the difference between 5'10" and 6 feet. Like you know what I mean? Like at a certain point,
the
you just
tall
tall.
Girls know.
Unless your woman is tall, yeah. But most women aren't tall.
That's true. The women, the 6'6" women are.
It'd be the 4'9". It'd be the 4'9" woman telling me, so I need a 6'8" dude. I'm like, ma'am, if he's 5'8" and you're 4'8", he looks like 6'8" to you. You ain't like, come on, stop playing with me. But yeah, we on a little bit of a tangent, but
we did.
For the new folks, this is what we do here sometimes.
It back in.
Mm-hmm. So what you saying about the 666 man?
666. I don't know. You distracted me. I think I was saying that that's an expectation or a standard. What was I saying?
I don't know. It was your point.
I think I was.
Ooh.
It's only my lips, so it really isn't that bad, but it was a close counter. You threw me off.
You started it. I was just educating you because you didn't know what the last 6 was. I thought you knew, but apparently not.
Okay, let me
take a little break. This is a good time for you to center yourself. Mm-hmm. Take a couple deep breaths. This is our mindfulness minute. In through your nose, out through your mouth.
Let it go.
Breathe in the abundance. Release the bullshit.
Okay. I really don't remember what I was talking about, but we were talking about expectations versus standards, and I think that we summed it up perfectly why they are very different, and I think we queued up why expectations can lead to trouble in a relationship. But I'd like to hear more from you. Like,
Right.
why are expectations dangerous? Why could they be dangerous?
I think because you can miss out on an otherwise good thing if you didn't have these, you know, higher, or not even gonna say high, just if you didn't have these expectations.
Yeah.
Like, for a good example, a lot of our examples are going to involve food. Like, we go to a lot of we've had some very, very good meals, and good meals at places, but a lot of times when we have a really good meal, that suddenly becomes the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So you eat something that's similar. It's like, if it doesn't compare to this baller meal that you had, it ain't shit. But you forget that the baller meal was a baller meal. It was a fire above, way beyond average meal, and then suddenly Burger King got to taste like that too, and that's not necessarily fair, because I shouldn't use Burger King as an example, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. Suddenly, what used to be the top flight exceptional suddenly becomes the floor, and everything has to be that or greater than. And that is, you can see that in your life too. Like, you start making you making 50,000, and your next job you make 75. You're not accepting nothing less than that after that. That's over with. That's the new bar. That's the new floor. But 75 is, you making very good money. Like, you good money in most of the world. There's like a handful of places in America specifically that you, like, 75 is like you brokey,
right, like above the poverty line.
Yeah, you can afford to buy bottled water, but like most other places, 75, you balling. You could raise a family off that.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I would tweak about what you said, babe, is when you have really good food, that becomes your expectation.
Yes.
On one hand, it's a good standard to have, right? Like, a standard of like, oh, I like really good food. I want to make sure that all the food that I have, especially if I'm spending money on it, I'm going out, I want my food to be good. But when you have exceptional food, and then you expect that every time you go out to a restaurant, you're going to have food that, like, wow, my taste buds are dancing. This is great. I haven't had anything like this before. That's an unfair expectation on restaurants, on all the places that you can be. And that's where you find yourself in a space that is like, these expectations are now a limit. Now you can't appreciate other things because what you expect hasn't been met, and so you're automatically met with disappointment. Instead, one of the things that the article suggests is to prioritize appreciation, like to have some sort of gratitude practice.
Gratitude is a good practice.
It is, to appreciate the things that are, instead of focusing on the way that you want things to be or your preferences for how things should be. Like, let's focus on what is real and true and right in front of us right now. Like, okay, maybe he's not 6'6", but
at least he's 6'6".
At least he's six. Not at least. He is 6'6". You got these. You got a part of what it is that you were asking for. Appreciate what this person is bringing to you. Maybe you expected yourself to be with a tall man, and you ended up with a small man. Can he reach the top?
Some diesel short dude.
Exactly.
Some short kings out here.
Why did you want that? You wanted your man to be able to protect you. Look at him. His neck is like.
Who are you talking to?
You said the diesel short man.
Yeah. Oh, you to my dad guy. Oh, okay. Because you pointed at me. So I was like, what's she trying to say?
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything about your neck.
Okay. I'm saying, man.
No, I'm saying what you wanted was a man to be able to protect you. Is the man that can protect you only the tall man? No, the man that you have can protect you. He is going to provide for you. He's going to do these things that you want. So appreciate those things instead of focusing on how you would rather things to be. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree. I agree 100%. That's all I got to say about that. Like, I don't. How can I say this? I don't. I don't think that's necessarily that big of a. I don't think it's as much of a problem for guys as it is for women with the expectations when it comes to the women that they choose to date. Because you can hear a guy say, oh, like, if she ain't got a fat ass and big titties and she like an hourglass, I can't mess with her. And then, like, you fast forward to their girlfriend and they don't look nothing like what they say. What I say all to say, I think that in general, men are more willing to compromise on their expectation, on their like what they had idealized, what their they prospect was going to be in the face of it. So it's like, yeah, I want to be this, and this, but then what they thought they wanted and what they got may not necessarily align. But if they're satisfied, they're gonna rock with it. Like, so as out, if they get a good woman, but the good woman has a fat ass but no titties, they probably gonna rock.
Okay, but that's very superficial.
I know. Honestly, that's easy.
I know. But I'm gonna ask a more challenging question. Is it because there are standards in place for men of like who this person is, the character traits that they have, how they treat me, how they treat my family,
Agreed.
how they show up in other situations that like is a standard through and through, that regardless of how she looks, even if she looks great and doesn't meet this standard, she's only going to be rationed off to this portion of my life.
Right.
She can never have full access to me. Is that a part of it as well?
Yes, that's literally it.
Okay.
That's literally it. I oversimplified it by keeping it to the superficial, the looks department, but it's just there's facts in it. Sometimes women can block their blessing because 6'6", 5.5. It's like, dang, you threw out a great man because 0.5.
I don't know if women are throwing out great men exactly, but I think that there is a certain amount of fantasy that goes into like thinking about who your future partner is. And on the superficial level, it can be a big part of it. Like it's just going to be a piece of the pie. The breakdown of like percentage is different for each woman, but I don't think that there is any woman who is like thinking about what they expect their husband, partner to be and do for them that doesn't include how they look. I agree with that. Now, where I feel like the expectation is not necessarily grounded in reality is, what is this height tied? Like, what are these looks tied to? Like, what is that going to do for you in the grand scheme of things? Do you want to be attracted to your partner? Yes. I think that that's a basic thing that we all want and is important to the health of your relationship. Are you only attracted to men who look this one way? I don't think so, ma'am. Like, I think that you've seen another man be like, oh, he was cute.
But
because you have this expectation, my husband don't look like that though. That's where you cut it off at. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that 100%.
And so that's where I don't think that they get to the point. They don't throw them out. They don't even enter the sphere.
Okay, that's fair.
I guess that's what I'm saying is the difference.
They get filtered out like all the time. They don't get a chance to spit their game.
No,
I get that.
And I mean,
that's a privilege too.
Was it? Oh yeah, it's a woman privilege.
Because you were saying about the element of fantasy that women have when it comes to like their future. Like, my husband will look like that. That's an element of that is a privilege that is afforded to women that it just doesn't exist for men.
Why?
Like I just think guys are pretty much smacked with reality like ahead of time. We're told very soon about like where you stand on like what you can get. So if a man that looks let's say normal, just like the average dude, gets him a supermodel, what do you think? God damn, he must have got some money.
That's true.
But like they'd be like quote unquote average woman who be like, I deserve this baller ass man just off the strength of just me. I ain't got to do nothing for it. It's just my fantasy said that my husband looks like that. That is a privilege that a woman is allowed to have, because no one is going to be like, no chick, you don't meet the qualifications for that.
Besides Kevin Samuels,
and you see what he unleashed. When people went crazy, like, how dare you tell me that there's men that I want that don't want me? And I think that is a privilege that a lot of that women have that guys don't. As soon as puberty hit, you already know there's women that's out of your league off top. You get taught that. You get taught like, yo, you're not gonna do this unless you
get the bag.
You got to get the bag. You got to have something. You got to earn that. you just don't get that. So I'm not saying that that's anything wrong with them, but I'm just like, that is definitely a female privilege, woman privilege.
Woman privilege. Privilege all over, up and through here.
Yeah. We just don't speak on it.
Pushing P, and the P is for privilege.
Yeah, so what were we talking about before?
Well, we were talking about appreciation for the thing and the difference between like the standard and the expectation. And I wonder though, in thinking about that, if the real confusion for women is the difference between the two. If a lot of women think that like I have standards, not I have expectations. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you hear people, you know how women have the list, right? And you think about this list and what is on that list that really is a standard that has to do with the quality of the relationship, the quality of the character of that person, how they show up. You know what I'm saying? Like those things versus like expectations of like, I spent the last 15, 20 years thinking about what I want my man to be like. And he is all of these things. You know what I'm saying? And some of those things are standards of like who he is and how he shows up. And a lot of those things are expectations and like trimming the fat off that list to really get the standards out and like cut some of the expectations away. Because I would be hard pressed to find a woman who said that she doesn't have like standards. But I also think that not everyone would be like, oh yeah, I have a lot of expectations of like who my man is.
They would say they were a standard.
They would say that everything that they have is a standard.
A standard or a preference.
Yeah. I don't think that they would say that any of those things are expectations. Because even some of the things are like, he's gonna buy me this thing or he's gonna do this thing. My man would never do X, Y, and Z.
He would never tell me no.
Expectations. Expectations, not standards. Who knew? Get your standards together. Cut all that expectation stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have expectations, you leave yourself open for surprises. And not all surprises are good ones.
Surprise, mother.
Yeah.
You want to know the other things that are on his list that have to do with how to manage your expectations? Okay.
Tell people.
Express compassion. To successfully navigate any relationship, you want to demonstrate compassion by prioritizing your love over your expectations. Compassionate lover. Ooh. Okay. You want to also show respect. Demonstrate consideration. Heavy on the consideration. Devote time to your partner. Never question the nature of your relationship. Avoid repetition. This is a good one. So the avoid repetition has to do with like an argumentative pattern. So if you have an expectation of how something should go, or like even what the girl was talking about in the video of like, I think we should, you think we shouldn't, and then you get into this pattern of having the same argument
about the same thing.
Break that pattern up in order to be able to actually have an effective conversation without the expectations. Never threaten your relationships. Oh, ultimatums.
Of course. Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't stagnate. Has to. Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't get into a pattern where you assume your relationship is doing fine because something didn't happen. Like, oh, we didn't argue today, so everything's fine. Like, we not beefing right now.
That may be just a red flag right there. You see, you always arguing and suddenly it stopped. Nah, bro. It's over with, bro.
Something is amiss.
It's done. As long as he or she is arguing with you, they still care. They still trying to fix it in their own way, even though it may not be like an effective method. But as soon as they stop, they don't care no more. It's like, oh, okay, word, we on this, all right.
They could also have come to a place of acceptance and grown and no longer be.
To your point, that also could be true.
But it is also possible that they just are like, okay, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with you.
I no longer have this expectation.
Yeah. And I'm going to get
Negative
it met someplace else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it from you no more.
Okay. The last one is don't compare your relationship to others' relationship.
That's real. Comparison is a thief of joy. Isn't that what they say?
That is.
That is very true. And, IG, Instagram and social media has been one of the largest contributing factors to this comparison shit that we are afflicted with.
Yeah.
These days.
A lot of people see things, even timelines, other people's relationship timeline, I think can be a big thing. Like, okay, they've been together for X amount of time, engaged. How the hell these people engage? All on Instagram, engaged after 5 months. Sometimes you just know. Married after 2 years. We met during the pandemic. Then he moved out here. We moved in together, and now we travel the world together. We get married on Monday. We got 3 kids together. He the love of my life. And we just renewed our vows for the 5th time.
Damn.
What's going on out here in the world? And if you compare your relationship to those other people's relationship, you're like, we're not.
If you're not on that type of time, what are we doing? If we've probably all seen the videos of like, if you're not willing to love me, like, and then insert this video, then don't even talk to me. If
the love ain't like this, I don't want it.
Right. Yeah. And not somebody doing something wild. Yeah. I was like, no, I don't think you really want that. I don't think you really want what comes with that.
Yeah, you got to work with your partner to develop what will actually work for y'all, because you are 2 individual people with a whole history of experiences, your own individual perspectives and needs and desires and traumas. You got all your stuff going on and all my stuff going on, and we coming together to try to figure it out and make it work together.
While making sure, like, your traumas don't rub on my traumas and vice versa. And
my nose feels
a little congested. I hear that. But yeah, we got to, like I said, we don't want our traumas to rub on each other. That sounded weird, but
I did see something this week that was like, it's being with the right partner is not about not having any of your traumas be triggered. It's about being with a person who you feel safe enough to have your stuff triggered by, and then be able to work through it. And I think that that's so true. I remember early in our relationship being like, oh, I don't feel these things that used to be triggering for me. That's odd. This must mean that I'm with the right person. And then there was a time where I think I had a trigger season. I think I had just like 3 months where your girl was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm crying. I'm feeling things, Brandon. And you're like, okay, it's all right. We're going to be okay. And we made it through.
We made it through.
Yeah, but it could have been, if you weren't ready to receive all of those feelings, if you weren't present and supportive for me, it could have been real bad, and it could have cycled back. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have been able to feel resolved and safe in the relationship with you, and those things would feel like they still need to be expressed and come out, and I would want to offer you the opportunity to support me the right way again, probably. To feel like, okay, I need to right this wrong. I need to like trigger me again, so that way you can do it right this time.
Damn, you think that can be why a lot of people kind of re-experience?
Of course,
because it's. Oh, I think we might have talked about it before. Like a lot of times we get into the familiar pattern that we've experienced because we're trying to right that wrong. Like you saw your parents in a shitty relationship, so you get in a similar relationship and then hope that like you can like, live out the idealized outcome from that. It's like, oh yeah, and unfortunately that's not how that works. And also because you didn't communicate none of this to nobody, and they didn't agree to that.
No, they didn't agree to be a part of your rewrite.
People be blowing up their own relationships, hoping that they can, I don't know, finesse something out of it that maybe their mama wasn't able to do, or their daddy wasn't able to do, or what have you.
Yeah, trying to right that wrong.
Right that wrong.
But even when it's your own stuff, I think it is about like, I didn't get the experience that I wanted the first time, even if it's with you. You know what I'm saying? Like if I have a breakdown, I have a trigger, something happens, and like you don't support me the way that I want you to support me, or I don't feel good and safe and stuff, it might come up again just so that way I can get what I'm needing from you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, give you another opportunity to support me, to like hold my hand through it. And then my mind, my body, my spirit is like, oh, okay, this is this is good. This is safe. We are okay with this person.
But the key difference is that you have to communicate what it is that you needed.
That's true.
And the time, for the person to have the opportunity to actually implement that thing. So if you just keep like causing the problem without, like allowing the solution to be known, you're just going to keep having a problem because you have an expectation that your partner is going to read your fucking mind.
That sounded a little shady.
Well, I'm talking to the people.
I know. I didn't think you were shading me.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure ain't no smoke.
I express myself.
Ain't no smoke over here. Ain't no smoke over here.
It's no smoke. Okay, I express myself. You do a great job of supporting me because you know what I need.
I do. Yes, I do. With that being said, I think that was a good wrap up. You got anything else you want to
do? Your final food for thought. What you got to say to the people?
Final food for thought
is thought.
Man, expectations are a motherfucker. And it can be a very precarious balance of like having like a healthy expectation versus like having some like having an expectation that could be detrimental to a potential positive experience, or I guess to your relationship. So I would encourage y'all to examine your expectation. Examine y'all's what was the other word?
Standards.
Examine y'all standards and maybe try to identify like for real which of these are actually like an expectation that you have, and which of these things are just like an actual standard, like one of those, like if this doesn't occur, like they don't treat me well, I'm not fucking with them. That sounds like a standard. I think the biggest difference is it's something that if he was rich, if he was tall, if he had 8+ inches, but he was a whole piece of shit, would you still want him?
Yeah.
Because I didn't heard plenty of time to say, oh yeah, he rich, he got money, but he lame. He corny. Black women love corny. They love dropping that one on them. Corny.
Cornball.
So what's important? Is it the money that was important, or was his personality and his corniness that was important? I don't know. You tell me.
Oh hell no! Sorry, I didn't mean to hit. Wait, how did I hit that one?
I don't know. You must have hit it with your thumb or something on the way back.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, that was because I was spitting. I was spitting hot fire flames. Men's not hot.
Booyaka.
All right. What you got
okay. My final food for thought is I should have been thinking while you were talking.
Stupid. I'm not going to let you get the chance.
My final food for thought is to take accountability for
She's trying to pick me, yo.
I'm not.
You know how you know.
Pick me up and put me back down.
Take accountability.
Take accountability for.
Ooh, say it again.
Accountability. Accountability.
Ooh, stop. It's too much. I'm sensitive.
Okay, no, my final food for thought is that I think I'm thinking about the first thing, the Esther Perel part of like, you are responsible for taking on the perspective of your partner in order to kind of help y'all reach a solution. I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, emotional intelligence is really important because it helps you like hold multiple perspectives and like see like, why is this person saying this? What might be happening for them? Why is it a no for them? Is there something that I'm missing that I'm not considering? Is it a no forever? Is it a no right now? I think my final food for thought is just get curious. Like, I think that there are so many times where we feel like because I feel this way, I'm right and you're wrong, instead of like, why is what you feel right for you? because you feel like you're right. You're not doing anything to harm me. Like, you're with me, you love me, you want me to be happy. So like, it's not that you don't prefer for me to be unhappy, but what is it that's making you feel like this is the right decision? Like, why is this happening?
I like that. Not enough people ask why.
Mm-hmm. Get curious. Big C, and the C is for curious.
Because it's easier to make up the story in our mind and run with that. And
to
go to the source and be like, hey, what were you thinking? What was going on that made, that helped you, that influenced your decision in this particular case? Walk me through. Make it, make it make sense for me.
Also, what you just said, making up stories in our mind. Brene Brown has this thing where she encourages couples to say, like, the story I'm telling myself is. So, for instance, in the instance where I say want us to have a kid next year or whatever, the story I'm telling myself is that we're ready to have a kid. Like, I've been talking about having a kid for a long time, and like, I don't see any barriers to us doing it. And I think that this is the ultimate like proof of our love, and like really will help us start our family. And the story you're telling yourself is,
and I'm telling myself that we need like $300,000 more to be able to afford this kid comfortably, and we got to do all these. It's a lot of different things that we're going to do in our lives and to accommodate this kid that I don't think that we are ready to do at this current point in time. That's what I'm telling myself or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And now I hear your perspective, and it's not like forget about me and this kid that I've been saying that I want to have. It's like, I want to make sure that we are set up for success. Bing bong.
All right. Good.
And we're good. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, retweet, repost, post us on your story.
Send it to your grandmama.
Yeah, she might like it. Yeah. She got stuff going on.
You haven't talked to your grandmama in a while, and just send her something. Stop playing. I need to probably take my own advice. But
okay.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Buffet Podcast. Episode 96. Once again, thank you to our day one supporters for being with us. Welcome the new folks that's coming, that's here. Welcome to the buffet. Peace.
Bye.